The story begins at the Royal Ballroom Debutante Hall. The nobles watch in amazement as Lady Diorlus enters. They comment on her graceful appearance and wonder if there is another Lady Diorlus, as they see that she has changed a lot. The only Diorlua they know is Lilia Diorlua, the blonde who is shaking in the corner. Suddenly, one of the men realizes that he had forgotten about Robertia, the oldest, who was a fat redhead he considered super ugly. He wonders if he got the name wrong, but he notices that she does have red hair. The question remains, is that beautiful lady really Lady Robertia? And the answer to this question is yes, this is Lady Robertia, and she feels amazing. She glances around at the noblemen and noblewomen. It seems that everyone has finally recognized her. Those expressions are priceless. Lilia and her crew, including Rick, a playboy, and even the fifth Princess Elizabeth, are all frozen, as if time has stopped. She loves it and is totally into it. This is the life of a celebrity. Lilia's friend inquires if that is really Robertia. They can't believe it and Lilia think it's ridiculous. However, Robertia approaches her and inquires if it has been a long time since they have seen each other. She opens her fan and covers her face, yet we can still see her beautiful smile. This is making Lilia very jealous. The ugly duckling, the Duke's family punching bag who they love to bully, has come back after transforming. They're all jealous. Lilia's friends Lady Palka inquires if she is really Robertia. Robertia laughs and states that yes, she is the real one. The last time they met was at the dessert shop 2 years ago. She was buying macarons and had said something to our protagonist. She had mentioned that she saw her at the dessert shop every time, stuffing her cheeks with sweets whenever she got the chance. That's why she was so chubby. This woman loved to act all high and mighty because she had Lilia's backing as they were friends. So she's there to make ridiculous comments to a duke's daughter like her. Back then, Robertia couldn't say a word, but this new host is different. This woman before us is Juliet, who has possessed Robertia's body, and now things will be different. She lives a life of luxury, and everyone envies the way she lived her life. She was never looked down on by anyone. She was an incredibly proud and haughty woman, so being generous to the small fries like her is just a luxury she can afford. Robertia smiles and tells her that what is important isn't what was said in the past but right before them. She suggests that they have a cup of tea and chat next time. This girl, who should be ashamed, blushes and thanks her. Meanwhile, a group of ladies, all dressed in white, whisper among themselves. They inquire about the dress she is wearing. Robertia smiles, stating that they've noticed. Since she was having a late debutante ball this time, Madame Becky personally made and sent her this dress. Suddenly, Lilia seems to freeze with envy and jealousy. What she is wearing right now is a custom piece made by the famous tailor of the capital, Madame Becky. It is the masterpiece of a pro tailor who makes clothes according to her own beliefs. Even the princess of the empire has to wait a whole year to wear one. This is the very best dress made by Madame Becky. Lilia always wanted to wear one of Madame Becky's dresses. Lilia had begged her multiple times and got turned down every time. And now someone like her is wearing it. As a result, Lilia is beyond furious. Suddenly, Lilia makes her move and comments that Robertia looks a lot thinner. However, she's not really thinner but healthier. She owes it all to Lilia, more precisely, to her efforts to avoid being tormented by her and her mother for life. She smiles and thanks Julia, which seems to be coming from her heart. Lilia's voice is uneasy as she inquires what she is being thanked for. Robertia thinks that humans are really scary as they can lie through their teeth with a smile on their face. At this very moment, the owner of this body, the original Robertia, had longed for. Lilia, coming to Robertia, seems to have been unable to find a partner. She inquires if she had come to this debutante alone, which is only a once-in-a-lifetime experience. At that moment, Cedric approaches Lilia, and she looks at him with a victorious smile, inquiring how he has been. He glances at Robertia with lustful eyes. This is Cedric Reiser, a young duke, the man the original Robertia had a huge crush on and followed her since they were kids. At that very moment, Lilia hugs Cedric's arm, commenting that how could Robertia come all alone? She tells her that she should have asked Ricky to be her partner or something of that sort. but this is a major insult as Ricky is her sibling. However, she retorts that Ricky is not even close to being the kind of man who could stand beside her. That just looks too pathetic. Lilia inquires what she had just said. However, Roberta interrupts and tells her thanks for worrying, but she didn't come alone. Due to her partner status, they had to follow certain etiquette and arrived separately. This surprises the noble ladies. They have already gathered a thought in their heads. If it's because of etiquette, that can only mean one thing: the host of the debutante ball. Couldn't possibly be. Could it? Does Prince Lark van Lashma Deckard? Could it possibly be this handsome man with silver hair and the confidence that emanates from him? He is the crown prince of this country, the current power of the Deckard Empire. This is her partner. As things in Lilia's world seem to fall apart, the prince notices Roberta and calls out to her. Only a man of this caliber could capture such a woman's heart. His timing was absolutely perfect. His gaze is perfect, as if he's falling in love. He is the perfect business partner. He kisses her hand and apologizes for having her arrive alone, even though they are partners. The jealous eyes of Lilia, who tormented her all her life, the envious looks from the noble ladies who used to mock her as a result of Lilia's influence, and the expression on Cedric's face, who played with her innocent feelings. At this very moment, the star of this place is no other than her. From today on, she's a celebrity of the Deckard Empire. In the next scene, we see a flashback into the life of Juliet Karenina, who was attending celebrity events. Born to a Korean mother and an English father, she was a global beauty. All the attention, focus, envy, jealousy, love, and admiration from around the world were directed at her. She had many scheduled promotions and brand shoots. Her life looked like was smooth sailing. She was a Triple Crown winner in drama, movies, and musicals, owning a multi-billion-dollar business. She was accepted as one of the top 10 influential young entrepreneurs in the world by the New York Times. If anyone asked about a perfect life, they would tell that person to look up Juliet Karenina, the movie celebrity lady. Juliet was perfect just by name, with the perfect life and the perfect body. Her fashion sense was impeccable. Every woman wanted to be her, and every man wanted her. There was nothing that didn't go her way until just yesterday. Juliet was definitely in Korea until she woke up in this body. A few years ago, she announced her retirement and moved to Korea, her mother's homeland. She wanted to show a life of Juliet as just a person, not the Juliet from behind the screen. Her retirement speech was an inspiration. After that, she transitioned to being a daily YouTuber. These days, being a YouTuber is the trend. Juliet TV reached 10 million subscribers within a month of launch, 2 billion followers on SNS, and Juliet earned 2 billion won per ad. It is still certified as the hottest trend. Just as the second act of her life was about to begin after her retirement announcement, that's when she saw the comment from Pig Roberta. Her comment stated that she was so beautiful and that she was so jealous of her. Her life is so different from hers. Juliet was in the middle of her skin routine when she wondered what kind of comment this was. The comments from Pig Roberta were confusing. These words made her unsure if she was a fan or not. Roberta seemed like a troubled person. One day, Roberta commented that she had decided to end it all. This shocked Juliet. She asked her manager to investigate Roberta in detail because she didn't seem right. Then she went to bed with an uneasy mind. That's all she did. However, not too long after, a woman with silver hair began to wake her up. When she opened her eyes, she saw the maid and a doctor above her. She questioned where she was. This was definitely not her room. Maybe it was a kidnapping. She inquired what they wanted with trembling hands. The maid questioned what she was talking about. The doctor nervously inquired if she remembered her name. Juliet then exclaimed that her name was Juliet, seeming confused. She questioned if they didn't even know the name of the person they had kidnapped. They were stunned, and the doctor commented that it seemed Roberta had lost her memory due to shock. However, Juliet was sure that she was perfectly fine. Where was she? She looks at her hand and realizes that it's very plump. Suddenly, she gets out of bed and looks into the mirror. To her shock, her once slim and beautiful figure, which had been described in magazines, has been replaced by a plump girl. She is stunned to see herself in such a body. It is so ridiculous. She falls asleep, and when she wakes, everything about her has changed. Her key question is why God is putting her through this. She strikes a dramatic pose as she contemplates all of this. Later, after the doctor leaves, she and her maid are alone. The main question is whether she truly remembers anything. The maid explains that Roberta had fallen into the pond and only just woke up after several hours. She was worried that something had happened to her. She questions, with a worried expression, why Roberta would have done that. Juliet is just as confused and would like to know that as well. As she tries to take control of the situation, she inquires who she is supposed to be. She also asks where they are. The maid explains that they are in the Deckard Empire. In the Deckard Empire, there are 4 major ducal families, and she is the only daughter of one of them. The maid hugs her as she realizes that she really doesn't remember anything. However, she will explain as many times as needed. Roberta thinks being the daughter of a ducal family might not be so bad. Suddenly, voices are heard from outside, announcing that she is awake and they need to see her. They claim that she is still their niece, so they have to pretend to at least care. If they don't go, people will talk behind their backs. This makes the maid uneasy. Suddenly, 2 arrogant-looking people barge in. Lilia exclaims that she is really something, questioning if Roberta thought causing a scene would get her attention. That Ricky comments she is lucky she actually woke up. If it were him, he would rather die than live as a fat slab. This is obvious hostility. One thing is for sure. This girl has been bullied all her life. But another thing is also clear. Juliet doesn't take crap from anyone, no matter who they are. The maid inquires if she remembers them. Explains that the current Duke's father, the late Duke Diorlus VII, and Lady Volga had children, which makes these 2 her aunt and uncle. It's hard to believe, and she wonders if they were really like siblings to her. She doesn't know. It seems like they don't get along at all, because she's sure that no one acts like this when a person almost dies. Ricky comments that she was eating this garbage before she even jumped into the pond. Lilia inquires if she didn't just jump in the pond because Cedric told her to get lost. However, Roberta, at least this one, has dealt with all kinds of envy, jealousy, and mockery before, so this is nothing. But the owner of this body apparently couldn't. The question is whether they really bullied someone they grew up with like a sibling until she wanted to die. It's unbelievable. Suddenly, Ricky approaches her and grabs her, feeling her as if she were a lump. Roberta gets up and thinks that this man is crazy. What does he think he's doing? Ricky exclaims that it's gross and feels like he has grease on his hands. Lilia comments that she shouldn't make her laugh. She glances at the maid and realizes that she can't help. Ricky inquires where her neck is, commenting if they should try to find her missing neck. At that moment, Roberta smacks his hand away and tells him he should really wash his hands. He's going to get her sick with those dirty hands. Ricky is confused and questions what she's doing. Suddenly, Roberta smacks him in the face. Lilia is flabbergasted, and the maid is shocked. Ricky holds his face and begins stuttering, but Roberta interrupts and comments that he is disgusting. If he continues with this nonsense, she'll report him for harassment. He responds, how dare she touch his face? He questions if she thinks his mother will just stand by when she finds out. Roberta thought he looked young, but it's obvious that he's just a kid. All he can say is that he's going to tell his mommy, but Roberta just tells him to go ahead and tell her. If he does this nonsense again, she'll show him what real life is like. Suddenly, Ricky inquires what this pig is saying. Lilia, seeming to have some sense, tells him not to bother with her. They should just tell Mom as soon as she gets back. As Lilia drags Ricky away, he threatens her. Suddenly, Roberta asks the maid to step out for a moment. The maid exits immediately, but not before telling her to get some rest. Roberta sits on her bed and sighs. However, she still believes that this is all just a dream, thinking that she will soon wake up. But as the sun sets and she is still in this body, it's driving her nuts as she finally realizes that this is not a dream. Suddenly, a stone brushes past her head, taking her by surprise. The stone turns into a dark ooze or slime, and she is horrified, wondering what it is. The ooze begins to take human form, and she grabs a chair for self-defense. The ooze fully takes human form and seems to be checking out its body. Robertia is horrified and begins swinging the chair, telling it not to come any closer. The ooze tells her to wait and not to freak out, using her real name, Juliet. Quivering, Juliet inquires how she can calm down after seeing something like this. Suddenly, the ooze takes on a different form, that of a young man with brown hair and blue eyes. He asks if this form is better, as it is a favorite of the original owner of her body. However, Robertia explains that she doesn't know if it's a taste of the body's owner, but she prefers someone more mature with a fit body. That's her type. As a result, he changes his appearance to a man with silver hair, golden eyes, and a captivating smile. He asks if this face is better, explaining that this man is known as the most handsome guy in the empire. Juliet comments that this face is definitely her type. Suddenly, she grabs his clothes and inquires who he is, as he definitely called her by her right name, Juliet, earlier. She questions if he brought her here. Nervously, he tells her yes, revealing that his name is Wishit and that he is Robertia's spirit servant. She inquires if a spirit is some kind of magic and orders him to hurry up and put her back to normal. But he tells her that's not possible and that she cannot live as Juliet again. This angers her, and she questions what the hell he is talking about. He tells her to calm down and listen to him. He explains that the family Dolores belongs to has the power to control spirits. His spirit has its own unique ability. He is the spirit of wishes. She then realized that the owner of her body wished to swap bodies with her. Questions if he's messing with her. He tells her to calm down, however how can she? She's been thrown into the body of a random girl and the first thing that happens is getting mocked by brats. He tells her he understands that she'll be upset, but he must obey Robertia's commands because he was her spirit servant. However, this is really messed up. She's just going to steal her life and live it. She clenches her fists and inquires how he even knows her in the first place, as they're not even on Earth. He reveals that Robertia wished to experience the life of a perfect human. Robertia questions if she's stupid. Among the countless worlds that exist, she had a spirit that grants wishes and yet she wanted her life. She could wish to be slim, wish to be pretty, or wish to get back at the kids who bullied her. She could wish for it all. Suddenly, he places a hand on her shoulder and asks her to listen to what he has to say. He explains that all of this is related to Robertia's story. Robertia had exactly 45 years to live and, just before dying from a terminal illness, she made her first wish to him. She wished to live her life over again, using one of her wishes to turn back time to this moment. They are now in the time when Robertia was 15 years old, in the past 30 years ago when she first met him. However, Robertia comments body is the same. Why didn't she wish to lose weight? He comments that Robertia decided to do it on her own without using a wish. He snaps his fingers and asks if she wants to see for herself. Suddenly, a pink book with a purple jewel appears in her hand. The book reads, "In the year 1519 of the imperial calendar, January 1st, the new year has begun. From today, she will only eat one meal a day. That year, she will definitely get slim. She wants Cedric to ask her to dance." On March 24th, in the year 1519 of the imperial calendar, the macarons from the franchise shop are just too delicious. By April 4th of the same year, she questions why she is not losing weight, despite having run for 30 minutes the previous day. On May 6th, she begins eating again and thinks that if she eats tomorrow, she is not even human. On May 7th, she feels that she is not human. Robertia closes the book and sighs. She comments that she turned back time to make her life better, yet she lacks the willpower to lose weight. She then uses her second wish to peek into her life for some vicarious satisfaction. He tells her bingo. She comments that he feels sorry for her life, but that does not justify stealing her happiness. She asks him if he really expects sympathy for her sob story. She hits him on the chest and asserts that whatever life that woman lived has nothing to do with her. To her, she's nothing but a thief. Suddenly, he grabs her hand and explains that she is right. Robertia used her last wish to swap bodies with a woman who only had 10 minutes left to live. Juliet is confused and questions what he means. He asked if she has forgotten her last memory of Juliet and how she met her end. Suddenly, her head begins to ache, and she wonders what he is talking about. She recalls being on the phone when her manager informed her that fans of the actor she was rumored to be with were going wild. She tells him that she is fine despite being blackmailed over something that never happened. However, the person on the phone warns her to be careful with those crazy fans, and she ends the call. As she falls onto her bed, preparing to sleep, she suddenly opens her eyes to see a shadow over her. To her shock, a woman looms over her with a knife. The woman questions who she thinks she is to meet her man. How dare she? She must die for her transgressions. After that she was attacked, and that was how she was supposed to meet her end. She becomes pale, realizing she was on the verge of death and that she swapped bodies with her. Wishit tells her he has something to show her, the reason why Robertia swapped bodies even though her life was ending. He will show her what happened so she can judge for herself. After telling Robertia about her existence, Robertia watched her life through the pond. Whenever she was distressed, she always wanted Juliet to be happy. Juliet lived so earnestly. That day, too, Robertia was tormented by the twins and Cedric, so she went to the pond again. She looked into the pond, ready to give up on life, knowing she couldn't swim and would drown if she fell in. A sheep prepared to step into the water when suddenly, she saw Juliet slowly losing her life. Juliet was crying and bleeding out. Immediately, Robertia called for a wish. She told him she wanted to save Juliet. However, he informed her that it was out of his power because Juliet was fated to die in that world, and he could not change that fate. As a result, she ordered him to turn back time in that world and somehow warn Juliet to get away. But he responded that he couldn't interfere with the fate of that world, so Juliet had to die just like that. Despite working harder than anyone for her glamorous life, Juliet fought so hard that her legs almost gave out. She thought it was unfair and could not accept it. Realizing that as long as he did not interfere with the fate of that world, Juliet would have to die, she insisted on making a wish. Wishit exclaims she's not thinking clearly. However, she didn't listen. She told him that before Juliet's breath completely stopped, she wanted him to swap her soul with Juliet's because if she couldn't save Juliet, she would die in her place. This wish upset Wishit, who questioned if she was crazy and whether she truly believed he would grant such a wish. Nonetheless, she boldly told him it was an order. She explained that Juliet was a noble person unlike her, and though she didn't truly know Juliet, she had watched her for a long time. Juliet had always given her courage and happiness, and she was grateful. Juliet, with her head bowed, apologized for yelling at Wishit. Wishit told her not to worry, as he understood where she was coming from. Tears formed in Juliet's eyes, and she questioned if he could give her a moment to cry. After a while, Wishit sat next to her and inquired what she wanted to do. Even after turning back time, Robertia wanted to end her life. This journey would not be easy, but Wishit believed that if anyone could manage, it would be her. She comments that all of Robertia's wishes are gone. However, he explained that he was still bound by the rules of being a spirit servant. However, there was a loophole since the body swap was a bit different. This meant that she could make herself slim. She questioned if it was okay to be so lenient. Nevertheless, she decided she would make a wish. Wishit exclaims that he will accept her wish to be slim. She questioned if he was crazy, asking why she would waste one of her 3 wishes on something like that. This confused Wishit, as he had expected her to waste it on her body. She told him that she could lose weight through diet and exercise. She was an actress who had managed her body all her life, so dieting was easy for her. He questioned what she would wish for instead. She ordered him to make her remember all of Robertia's life, including all her knowledge, memories, emotions, and every moment she saw, heard, and felt. In a stern voice, Wishit tells her she'll regret it. If she does this, she will absorb Robertia's life as her own. He asked if she could really handle Robertia's life. Juliet confidently stated that she could handle it. She was already in this body, and she had even died for her. If it was a life like Robertia's, she would embrace it. Wishit closed his eyes and took a moment of silence. He told her he wouldn't make her recall all the memories at once to protect her mind, but it would be a profound experience. Juliet experienced many aspects of Robertia's life. Her father who didn't pay much attention to her, the insults she faced, her struggles, and the comparisons to her sister Lilia. She remembered being overlooked, being framed for things she didn't do, and her step-grandmother Volga's torment. Roberta considered herself worthless, but she had once simply wanted to be loved and not left alone in a cruel world. Despite her kind nature, she couldn't manage her own life, let alone others. Her choices gave Juliet a new life. Roberta was the youngest daughter of a prestigious family, born with advantages in lineage and wealth. Despite this, she was tormented by her step-grandmother and her 2 children. She died at the age of 45 from complications due to obesity, pleading for Wishart to turn back time. He explained that the torment by her step-grandmother hindered Roberta from reaching her potential, and despite her superior knowledge and efforts, she couldn't shine. Now that Juliet knew all of this, she questioned if she could wish for someone to lose their life. Wishart smiled and told her that she could wish for anything in this world, except bringing someone back to life. Juliet questioned why she had not removed the 3 trash from her household. He told her it was because she was too kind-hearted. Juliet believed that since she had 2 wishes left, it would be okay to use one to get rid of that woman. At that moment, her head began to hurt, and she saw a memory of Wishart telling her to stop crying and make a wish if she didn't want to be mocked anymore. Wishart had told her it was okay to be beautiful and slim. Juliet cried and told him no, fearing that if she started wishing, she would become greedy and use up all 3 wishes, leading to parting with him forever. She realized that making all her wishes could mean losing him. Wishart smiled and confirmed that was indeed the case. For the lonely Roberta, it was as though her only friend understood why she cherished her wishes. He must have been a very precious friend to her, and she can't imagine how it felt when he had to grant her wish to die in her place. It must have been heartbreaking for him to lose his best friend. She hopes that she can give him comfort and awkwardly apologizes to him. It wasn't her intention, but she made him lose a precious friend. He places his hands in hers and tells her that from the beginning, it was Roberta who wanted to peek into her life, and he was the one who granted that wish. She bears no responsibility for it. She slightly blushes and tells him that she had considered ending it all, but it wasn't because he wasn't precious to her. She was just overwhelmed and found living unbearable. Suddenly, she comes to the realization that even if her birthday were to turn back time, nothing would change, and she fears she might have to live that same hellish life again. That's why she wanted it all to end. She tells him that Roberta truly cherishes him, and he has a misconception. Roberta didn't want to live as a beautiful and slim woman. She just wanted to live happily. She opens the jar and there it is, a stash of snacks. The only reason she longed for a life as a beautiful and slim woman was that she thought her unhappiness was due to being ugly and fat. The demons in her family made her think that way. If she hadn't been tormented, she wouldn't have been so stressed. She then gathers all the sweets in one place. She questions him if that is all of it, as that is about what she remembers. He tells her probably and questions if she's going to live off of it. She smirks and tells him that she doesn't have to lose weight. However, he bluntly states that this is contradictory. She looks at him a bit confused, questioning what is contradictory. He explains that she just said Roberta wanted a happy life, so shouldn't she not care about losing weight? Being slim doesn't mean being happy. She tilts her head, realizing that he's correct. He continues, saying that wanting to lose weight means she ultimately doesn't want to live as a fat Roberta. She exclaims that she's not doing this for a selfish reason. It's not that she wants to deny Roberta's appearance. She just wants to change her life in the direction she wants. Even if appearance is not the standard of happiness, her life needs to be improved. When she questions why he is asking the obvious, she explains that obesity is the root of all diseases, so starting today she's going on a diet. She'll start by changing her fate of dying at 45 from obesity-related complications. The next day, Juliet looks through the window, taking in the scent of fresh air. From today on, she is a Roberta, starting a new day with a new body. She thinks the air is much better than soul. Since she has crossed the point of no return, there's no need to call him about it. She plans to repay the debt that she owes Roberta, as not a moment can be wasted in order for her to change her life. She decides to get some custom clothing. Fortunately, Roberta is quite knowledgeable. It's not an exaggeration to say she mastered everything, even things that a noble lady wouldn't need to learn. She was well-versed in politics, economics, society, culture, and she read the newspapers immediately. Even though she never participated in social activities, she knew social manners and danced perfectly. She would make good use of all her knowledge. First, she'll disrupt the hierarchy in this household, which is controlled by Volga. Most of the servants are hired by Volga or are on her side. The two brothers, who were raised by Volga in childhood, know nothing about her true nature. The only one who could possibly help her is her father, who has lost his mind. He only lives because he cannot die. Her father, Leonardo, is delirious and resembles a romantic figure straight out of a novel. In other words, he was a very irresponsible father. When his beloved wife passed away, he gave up on everything and secluded himself in his room. Roberta remained silent towards her indifferent father, and the Duke of Dolores didn't pay much attention to his quiet daughter. However, she thinks that he's not a very bad father. Her original self would have been more comfortable with a father who handed her a black card rather than giving her love and attention. However, Roberta needed love and attention. Suddenly, the silver-haired girl ran to her mistress, inquiring why she hadn't called for her. She questioned why she changed clothes by herself. The doctor was worried because of what happened yesterday. Roberta laughed, thinking there's still at least someone who loves her. She tells Rebecca that it's okay and they should go have a meal. Rebecca walks beside her and tells her that she only has to prepare the dishes she likes. Once she finishes the meal, she'll bring her butter buns started with blueberry compote, made with fresh blueberries from the Camellia farm. She looks at Rebecca and thinks that she was the only one among the servants who took care of her and didn't condone Volga's torment. She couldn't completely turn a blind eye when she saw the commotion on her 16th birthday. Her genuine care for her young lady she served was truly remarkable. However, not too long after Volga screamed that she should be grateful that Lilia and Ricky celebrated her birthday, going so far as to belittle a little joke. It's a good thing she caught this foolishness made while on her to her father's room. With tears falling, she apologizes to her grandmother, stating that she hadn't meant to tell her father. Rebecca was left alone in her room. After 3 days, Roberta showed Rebecca, who was allegedly begging like a dog, but Rebecca was already dead, having received no treatment for 3 nights. She held on in a dreamlike state and was horrified when she saw this scene. Volga placed her hand on Roberta's shoulder and whispered in her ear that if she doesn't want to see people dying for no reason, she must be good and behave better. Roberta mumbles that because of her, Rebecca died and she was a fool. Rebecca died because of her. Suddenly, Rebecca calls for her, questioning if she's okay because she doesn't look well. If she's not in the mood, she can have a meal in her room. She can have a chocolate cake topped with macarons. Roberta tells her that it's fine. Rebecca opens the door and leads her to the meal. Upon seeing the meal before her, it makes complete sense why she was fat. It's all delicious. She would eat everything. There's everything from land to sea and evening fare food. She nervously tells Rebecca that she appreciates the preparation but will only eat the chicken. This confuses Rebecca. Roberta inquires if she would like to eat the rest or if she can eat with her. Rebecca is flabbergasted. Suddenly, Roberta comments that she cannot help it today because she doesn't have any clothes. As a result, she will be doing an hour of fasting exercise in the morning starting tomorrow. Rebecca exclaims, "What?" But Roberta continues, telling her to please prepare breakfast after her workout, which will consist of half an apple and a bowl of oatmeal. For lunch, she'll have a regular meal from the dining hall at 1 p.m., but with no seasoning. She also tells her to schedule an appointment with the tailor for the evening, as she'll need to get some clothes that are easy to move in and also more stuff. Rebecca begins to write down everything. Roberta smiles and tells her that she said everything that was needed. Rebecca inquires if she will stay with her and dine together. Rebecca smiles and says yes. On the 3rd floor of this mansion, there is a gloomy room at the farthest side. It is cold and extends to the hallway with a massive door that seems like it will never open. This is the room of the Duke of Dolores, her father. When she approaches his room, a butler stands guard. He inquires why she is here so early in the morning. It was expected that this person is standing guard, the butler, who has managed the entire estate for a long time beside her father. Roberta brushes her hair back and tells him that she came to see her father. He smirks, declaring that the lady of the house is not present. When the lady of the house returns, she may come to see him. Until now, Roberta couldn't see her father without permission. Roberta, who was secretly tormented, going to see the Duke is something that has never happened and should never happen. But as he said, the lady of the house is absent right now, and this is an opportunity. Roberta comments that it's strange that the daughter can't even see her father's face at will, and an old butler telling a noble lady what to do is even more absurd.